The waste of the week goes to the federal government for a failed solar energy plant that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and to California's public school districts for paying an education consultant $5,000 an hour to lower educational standards and change the math curriculum. Joining us right now, the president and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Adam, good morning to you. You just can't make this stuff up. This stuff is just incredible here. You've got two very troubling reports. First, you took a closer look at the background of a former Stanford math professor who was charging $5,000 an hour to redo California's math curriculum. What in the world is this all about? What'd you find?
Well, Jan, this is the old story where somebody starts out in the world to do good and ends up doing really well. And it's also why taxpayers need to be able to follow the money to hold the political class accountable for tax and spend decisions. So here we have a professor. She's involved in teacher training in the Oxnard School District in California. She signs a contract with the district to provide 8 hours of this teacher training to the tune of $40,000. And when this comes out in the press through a whistleblower, she actually threatens to call the police and her lawyer on the whistleblower. And Twitter actually removed the tweets that exposed this contract.
Interesting. I was reading, too, that she's an advocate for this, quote, progressive form of math in an effort to move away from traditional forms of instruction, whatever that means. What does progressive math look like, Adam?
Well, it says that there isn't natural talent within a child. That's one of the things. Here's another thing. It says that there's a rush for algebra and calculus in the classroom. And these things have been criticized by progressive politicians. They've been criticized by the Asian community of a lowering of standards. For example, the teacher curriculum in Oxnard, where she charges $40,000 for 8 hours worth of work, that was on a low performing students block grant. And so, these are the ideas that are being brought into these districts where the students already have learning issues, and the critics allege that these students are being slowed down further.
Interesting. And at a time when so many teachers are underpaid and schools don't have enough funding, how in the world does a state like California afford to pay someone $5,000 an hour to consult for them? What was the public's response to this?
Well, it's up to the local folks in the district to hold their elected officials accountable for those decisions. But quite frankly, for watchdogs following public spending, there was a huge outcry, and there continues to be a national outcry on this issue with our organization at OpenTheBooks.com and others saying that, look, we need all these contracts, need the light of day. We need to be able to follow the money and hold people accountable.
All right, Adam, I want to switch gears now to another story that is an example of taxpayers getting robbed, as you like to say. The federal government spent $737 million on a solar energy plant in Nevada that failed. And according to an investigation by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I was just reading this, trying to understand this, 10,000 mirrors were expected to heat molten salt in a tower, which would then heat water. And then that heated water would create steam that was supposed to create power. I hope you could follow all that right there. So what happened? What happened with all that?
Well, with all of that complication, it hasn't worked according to the plan, Jan. So this was the latest in technology and solar energy, where the mirrors, these 10,000 mirrors, were supposed to follow the sun. They just weren't static mirrors. They were going to be able to follow the sun throughout the day to generate power for 43,000 homes outside of Las Vegas. This was supposed to last 30 years. But the plan has never lived up to expectations. Even today, it only runs at 40 to 50% of capacity. It's had real problems, like its owner, it's been offline because the owner went bankrupt. Right. Taxpayers put $750 million into this thing. We have been able to recoup $200 million of that, but still it's a $500 million investment. Yeah. And the jury's out as to whether it even works for the future.
Yeah, I was reading the plan had some leaks. A series of outages and quote, catastrophic failures led to this solar tower being removed back in 2019. So what's the status right now of this solar energy plant that American taxpayers spent so much money on?
Well, it's back online, Jan, and the critics are back at it as well. This was a plant that was supposed to be good for the environment, but there's environmental critics of the plant. For example, I guess if a bird gets too close to the 10,000 panels, there's so much heat, the birds explode in flames.
Oh, gosh. Oh. Oh, my goodness. All right, Adam. Great talking to you on this Friday. We appreciate you joining us and exposing these two big reports that you have. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.